All right, so to start, we have some heirloom tomatoes here. We're going to grab ourselves a serrated knife. We're going to take them and we're going to cut nice, big, thick boy wedges, just like this. You want to get them about as close to an inch, half an inch as you can. And we're really looking for like variety of size on these guys, but you gotta dance with the girl that brought you. So these are gonna do it. Got these guys here. And some of them have harder cores than others, as you can see right here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut those out very deliberately. Just like that. Careful not to struck the cell wall too bad. Okay, now that we have them all cut and cleaned to our desired thickness, I'm going to put in a balsamic vinaigrette that I have here. I made this. You definitely don't have to make it. You can use the store-bought stuff, it's fine. You don't want to go straight vinegar because it's going to be a little too acidic for our purposes. So I'm just going to pour this over it like that, nice and there, and I'm going to periodically just kind of move them around and make sure they get all that marinade in. So we're going to set this aside. All right, while we got our tomatoes marinating, we are going to take some okra, cut these bad boys up, and then we're going to marinate them in some buttermilk and hot sauce for a little while. As far as how you want to cut these, it's really dealer's choice. These are going to get fried, so you don't want to go whole necessarily. I think I'm going to opt for just some very nice, like, on a bias here, but you know, do whatever's in your heart. There's no wrong way to do it. All right, now that we got our okra cut up, I'm gonna give this buttermilk a good shake here. We're just gonna pour a little bit of that over top, basically to where everything's coated, because this is also gonna act as our glue for our cornmeal for it to stick together. Technical term is batter, but we're also going to add a little bit of hot sauce to there. Spoon, mix everything up, add a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper there. And that is basically good to go. So you can go ahead and set that in your fridge for a little while. All right, while we got both of those things marinating, we're going to take some bacon, set our oven to 375. We're gonna hit this with some cracked black pepper. It's my experience, even the like black pepper bacon that you buy at the store doesn't have nearly enough black pepper, and that's really what we want from this. So we're gonna very liberally season this with the old BP. Pop it in the oven. So while we got that going, I have here some black eyed peas that we cooked with a ham hock, some stock, and some thyme. So these are about par cooked, and then we've got some corn that we fire roasted, or shucked and then fire roasted. And so these guys are gonna get sauteed up together in a pan, and then we're going to reserve that, and that's gonna come in later at the end of the salad. So first up, we need to cut ourselves a shallot. This is just gonna serve as kind of like the base for this bad boy. And so while this isn't necessarily a hard dish, there are like a lot of moving parts to it. I would say this is definitely like a weekend meal. So you've got like some kind of visiting dignitaries or such. You really want to dazzle them. This is definitely the dish for that. But as far as like quick and easy weeknight meals, not so much. But when you see the end result, it'll be worthwhile. All right, so we got our butter and olive oil melted in the pan. We're going to add a little bit of shallot. Let that cook down a little bit. Please ignore that. I do actually know how to use a knife. So cook that for a little second. And then we got that smelling fragrant. We are going to add our corn. Let that hang out and do its thing. So as far as the ratio of like black eyed peas, corn, I think we're gonna keep it at about like a 50-50. Got that going. Maybe a little bit more. Let's be bad. All right, put it there. Here. And again, the peas should already be like kind of salty, so definitely check your seasoning on this as you go. You don't want to like just blast it with salt in the end and it'd be too hot. So, all right, we're gonna taste this right now, see where we're at. That's fine. It needs a little bit salt, a little of the old cracked black pepper, in there. Okay, once we got this like thoroughly cooked through, all the flavors are hanging out right at the end as it's cooling down, I'm gonna add a chiffonade of some basil. So all that means is just basil that's been rolled up and cut. I'm gonna mix all that together. And then that's it for that. We're just gonna let that totally cool down and use it later to assemble the rest of our salad. Okay, I got that off the stove. I've got a large heavy bottom pot here, Dutch oven. I've got it full of peanut oil. I'm going to let this come up to about 350. I have a thermometer here, but you can probably just eyeball it. Yeah, once we get this up to 350, we're going to bread and fry our okra, and that is for real this time going to be it with the cooking. Okay, now we are going to make the dressing that's going over top of it. It's basically going to be kind of like an herb ranch dressing. It's a mixture of Duke's and buttermilk. This is pretty much like, with the exception of like having like really good fresh tomatoes, the only like non-negotiable part is like you have to use Duke's. It's really important to the flavor of it. It's got like apple cider vinegar in it, so it has like a really nice tang to it, which really just goes well with the rest of the sauce. Definitely making more than I need for this dish right now because it's good to just kind of have on hand. So as far as ratio goes, we're just gonna kind of eyeball it. Kind of know it when you see it. You want it a nice like medium thick, plus once we add all the herbs to it, it's really gonna come together. Got our mayo, got our buttermilk. Gonna get that a nice whisk together. See, that's like about where you want it. You kind of want it to like run over top of everything. We're gonna set this aside. We're gonna chop up our herbs. All right, so I just got some green onions here, just kind of rough chop, doesn't have to be super fancy. Parsley here, and I guess some basil, that's fine. I'm just gonna go through. Grab your dressing. Add these bad boys in. And before we even taste it, I already know it's gonna need a good amount of salt and a lot of black pepper. Like just keep going until your arm is feeling a little tired, and then do a couple more twists. That'll do it. Let's give it a mix. See where we're at. It's looking like something. All right, let's check for the seasoning. Just a little bit more salt and even more black pepper. At this point, your bacon should be done, unless you forgot about it and you burnt it. That's fine too. You just gotta start over or eat burnt bacon. Choice is up to you. Okay, so here we got our cornmeal and flour dredge. It's like half and half basically, and then I added some paprika, some garlic powder, some onion powder, some salt, and some black pepper. You can also use like whatever like kind of like Cajun seasoning or whatever you got hanging around. So we're just gonna go straight from here into here. Give it a nice shake. Careful to not get monster hand where you go back and forth between it and it gets all goopy and stuff. That's not necessarily what you want. Got everything all battered up. Just gonna drop them down into the oil. Okra can sometimes pop, and you do not want that to happen, so just keep an eye out. Try not to kill yourself. It's the number one rule of cooking for the most part. All right, now that we've got all our components completed, we're now faced with the daunting task of assembling this thing without it falling over. So we're gonna start, nice piece in the middle. We're gonna take some of our corn basil mixture, go right up top, like so. We're gonna do another big old slab, like such. And more the mixture, top. Then one final piece right there. And then we're going to dress it. So just right over top, just like that. And from there, we're gonna grab a couple pieces of our okra, assemble it around like such. A couple nice little extra cherry tomatoes for garnish. And then right on top, I'm gonna put a nice piece of bacon. And that right there is the dish.